Episode 3, Building a Franchise Brand. We're going to talk about what it really means to build a franchise system, how you're changing lives, how you're positioning your franchise offering, what it really means to be a franchisor. Kristen, this is episode 3. This is about be organized. This is about journey. And so many franchisors, people are selling franchises, offering franchise opportunities. And I think we get to a point where there's a gut check of, what is this franchise's place in the universe? How do we transform lives? I think that's a journey also for franchisors.
Absolutely, right? There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of competition and a lot of opportunities and a lot of great opportunities. So I think, kind of like what you and I always talk about, we've got to know where we are in that lineup and really kind of stand up and own who we are, and then do the right things to attract the right people. And that can be challenging.
I'll share with you at our well, it's also an entrepreneurial challenge, right? I think businesses get lost or they don't get to that special level where they really don't understand their purpose and their mission. And there's been times where I've been caught off guard. I was at our last Frank Camp event. Someone's like, well, what's the mission purpose of your law firm or of Good Spark? And I was stuttering. I was like, but, and then I think about the journey over the years, focusing on what's our mission, what's our values, how do we measure success? And when you work on it, you could create special things. And, I'll start this off with, I think in the franchise world, and this is for franchisors out there and franchise buyers, there's some franchisors that don't understand or don't have that special purpose. And how do you grapple with that? What could you share? Like, what's that journey been like?
Yeah, I think part of that, we all get so mired down and your head is down. It's almost, you can't see the forest for the trees, right? I think that's what you're talking about when a franchisor doesn't really understand or maybe forgets their mission. And we're very repetitive about it here and clear. When we're talking about our mission for our ultimate consumer, it is basically helping people live better lives through organization, right? Whether that's in the home, the office, during a transition, downsizing. Very clear. And that drives us and is kind of our litmus test of how we make decisions over there. So then over here on the franchising side, really our mission is to help people build the business of their dreams, to be happy and profitable, right? That might look different for everybody, but in general, I mean, that's our direction. That's our obligation to our franchisees. So it's really pretty simple what our mission is.
You're not giving yourself enough credit when you stated it very simply. And the funny thing about it is that sounds simple and it sounds like right. So obvious, but getting to that stage and it's a special point for any franchise and any entrepreneur. So Kristen, diving into this even deeper, like where does Be Organized fit in the franchise world for a franchise buyer, who it's for, who it isn't for?
I think we're unique in that we are a lower startup and a low overhead because we're home-based. So really, we kind of fit perfectly in that like supplemental income. We can be replacement income eventually. And we're mission driven. We attract a certain kind of people because of the work that we do over here on the consumer side, right? And so I love that mission part of our business. And really then you get to marry that mission and then our scalable model. It really becomes kind of a win-win all over the place. So I think that's our blessing and our curse, right? Is trying to find those right people who are looking for that supplemental replacement income in the home services, home-based, and who are willing to battle it out and be profitable and successful in that space.
At franchisor level, right? If someone's evaluating Be Organized, and we have a checklist, right? Because there's other home service businesses, sure. And outside looking in, Be Organized is one of the leaders or innovators in what I think is a very unique category in home
Right.
service business,
Yeah, a
right?
lot of
It's
white space. Yeah.
right. I mean, you're not equipment intensive, or I mean, it's really relationship.
It's
Um,
people. People.
pros, so let's start with the negative, right? What would be some of the challenges or reasons why someone shouldn't buy a Be Organized?
Well, we just said it. It's people, right? I mean, you don't have control over people, and your worst, our worst organizer, we call them bees, is what we're putting out there, right? And so that comes down to training, support, communication, lifting people up, and culture. So we have a lot of energy around that and resources around that. So again, blessing and curse. Our negative is it's all around people and relations, and our positive is it's all around people and relations. And that's the beauty, that we are attracting the right people that have that right head, heart, and mission, not just in our franchisors, our owners, excuse me, our franchisees, our owners, but our, their staff, their hive that they're building. It's all around that heart.
Kristen, from franchisor level, and for other franchisors out there, what's your perspective on royalties, your obligations as a franchisor? What's been some lessons learned? What's the perspective there?
Lessons. How long do we have, Charles? Right? I always go back to that race car analogy, right? We give them the keys to a tricked out race car. That's the Fran fee. It's proven, it works, it goes. They just have to get in and put the gas in, right? And be engaged in that way. And then I always use the pit crew. We're their pit crew. And so therein lies, that's the royalty, the ongoing monthly royalty. And so to me, if you look at it that way, what's a pit crew? They are there at the ready to help rotate the tires, change the oil, do what needs to be done. And, you run there's a fine line, right? Because we're not really partners, right? It's their own business. But I love that analogy of us being their pit crew. I always want to over deliver to our franchisees and have them ultimately know they're not alone in this, and we're there to support them, and that we are continually adding bells and whistles to that proverbial race car, and going to be there to help them better their business and reach their goals. So and trust. It's got to be trust, and them knowing that we're there and have their best interest at heart. And I think sometimes you in the franchisor role, that can get a little but at the end of the day, that's our goal, is to have happy and successful franchisees. And how do you do that? You do that by being there and over delivering and supporting them, being their partner.
And I think your franchisee partners, to me, it's valuable that you're also in the business yourself. I mean, this is not something where, this is founder driven as an emerging brand. Everything you're asking franchisees to do, you've done.
Right.
And along the way, created a special category here. So, how does that change the dynamic that you've been through all of this with the same thing as franchisees?
I think it humbles us. It keeps us in the mix. While I'm not daily involved in our original location of Be Organized. It's the office right out of here, out of this office. I am daily in its orbit. And very much involved in that, always from a marketing standpoint, still the owner. And so it keeps us close to the fire a little bit, and reminded of the challenges and the frustrations and the hard work that it is. So it makes it less of a gap between what we're expecting and what we're really seeing is reality, if that makes sense.
It does. And so, Chris, because if we're looking at the growth and curve of Be Organized, you went from startup, you're in an emerging stage, the brand is growing. And I know from behind the scenes what your team's been focused on. As you project forward, and I know there's significant interest in Be Organized, who would you say this is a good fit for, and maybe someone who shouldn't consider it?
Yeah, I love that. If somebody is wanting the easy button, if somebody's wanting to, replace a six-figure income right away, that's not this. And so it's somebody who is mission driven, wants to help people. Ultimately, that is, be organized is, again, it's those relationships and helping people. So having to have that drive, and the soft skills and the personality to attract the right people to help them do that. And somebody who wants to get their hands dirty, who wants to roll up their sleeves and really get in and go and build something. This is a scalable model, and we help you start scaling right away, but you've got to be in the mix. This is not a absentee owner situation. You can work up to that. There's definitely scaling ways of doing that. But in the beginning, we really do require that owner to be involved and wearing all of those hats. And that's a lot. It's drinking from the fire hose. So you've got to have that unique position in life that you have the ability to go all in, and you have the resources for the investment, albeit a low startup, and be patient to get those wheels in motion, those marketing ripples that I talk about, and getting to where you're at a profitable spot.
Yeah, and you mentioned the relationships, right? Which for every service business, I mean, if I'm going to have a high startup, high expense brick and mortar business, restaurant, well, that location generates business, right?
Right.
Service-based businesses, relationships and marketing.
You've got to be willing to get out and go. If you're hiding behind the ficus tree at a party, you're not our gal. You're just not. And so, and that I've become more and more focused on, that is you really have to go out and want to be the mayor of your marketplace, because you said it exactly. Without a brick and mortar, you don't have a place to attract. In fact, I had a guy who has been in franchising for decades, spoke to him the other day, but he's always been in food and brick and mortar, and he could not get in his head how we attract clients. In fact, he kind of poo-pooed our whole situation because he just felt like, oh, without a brick and mortar, how do you get clients? And that, I think, is where we excel. We have really put together an incredible blueprint for our franchisees, taking all kind of we call it the marketing layered cake, all of the layers, and then building out, tools and guidance and blueprints, and just how you go about that and all the collateral with it. So I think that's where we excel, and we expect our franchisees to operate that way.
Yeah, the brand and the segment you're in attracts. I mean, you were on one of our social media. I had a cousin reach out. So like you have a whole tribe. I think your perfect fit franchisees are also your customers who are attracted to the brand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, one frustration I'll see if I'm outside, looking from the outside with certain home service businesses, I think they're overlooking, or they're at least not being completely genuine with franchise buyers of, you need to be front and center relationship person driving this service business.
Absolutely.
And I think that's overlooked. Kristen, these are not easy questions, and I'm putting you on the spot, but for the right franchisee, right, someone's a good fit, why is Be Organized a better opportunity than other home service category brands?
I think the brand, and again, the people. Can I say that?
No, you know what? Pause there. Let's just pause there for a minute. I mean, that's critical, because, it's funny. I was interviewed and someone asked advice on buying a franchise, and we don't represent franchisees, but what I see, and that's one of the biggest factors, which was, sure, you need the unit economics to work. You need to feel passionate about the business and brand, right? But a part of that is the people behind it that you're going to be partnering with and have that confidence in. Sure, it's going to be reflected in the brand a little, but the people, that's a big deal. And
Well, the
the reason,
people are the brand. And I think in our case, I always say this, and this is no diss to other companies, other home services, but we're not picking up dog poop and selling siding.
right,
We are helping people
right.
take back their lives, be more productive, more at peace, more present. I mean, I could go on. And I think sometimes, Charles, I'm bad because I get so caught up in the unit economics and the business part of it that I forget. And you can see even how excited I get when I start talking about what we really do, what we offer for our clients is life changing. I don't know if siding changes lives. I know organizing does. And helping people get control of their time, their expenses, their consumerism habits, to be able to make dinner because the kitchen counter is clear, or invite guests in because they're not embarrassed about their house, or be more productive at the office. That is golden. So I kind of hang my hat on that of why be organized because of what we do. It is so, so special. And we have so much passion around it, I
I
guess.
mean, I will say, I mean, I can't say, but yeah, if you see behind the scenes, you're, yeah, I would definitely describe the team as passionate. But
Yeah, we might be on the level of geeky passion, but you know what? We are who we are.
Kristen, like, so it's hard though. It's hard for, like, what you just described to me is critical for a franchise. And
Mhm.
the problem I think franchise buyers have, or even franchise brokers, is, if you look at generic websites, everyone says the same things. You guys don't, right? But then when you hear directly from the founders and team, that's
Mhm.
where you really want to get back to and see that passion there.
Right.
Um, okay, what other, any passion team, right? Which is legit, right? These are your
Yeah.
future partners.
Yeah.
And I would never buy a franchise because I like the team. I
Right.
buy it because I love what they've built. So the unit economics, lifestyle fit in,
Mhm.
and I trust that team, right?
Right.
And that
Right.
passion. What would be some other reasons why they should focus on and be
Well,
organized?
this is a scalable model. It makes sense. This, you can scale this. I mean, our successful franchisees, our home shop, you can have, 7, 8 jobs going in a given day. You could have 16, bees out, 17. I mean, it makes sense. It is a scalable model. And that's what I love about this is helping our owners like take off the blinders and see, oh, yeah, you really could level this up. And that's what I love about this business too, is and we've talked a little bit about this, this is not a new industry, but we're kind of approaching it new. And so it levels us up and our owners up automatically, that we can go in and talk to realtors, and realtors will engage with us because they know we can turn it around, and we have the bandwidth and the professionalism and the systems and the processes. So the scalable nature of this business, I feel like we've only just begun. And I also love the fact that we have the B2C play, but we also have the B2B play. And that is unique. So multiple streams of revenue that we've got, home organizing and home move and transitions, and we've got business organizing and business moving. That's powerful and exciting.
It is. Well, it's funny because as I think about like businesses, I'm like thinking already, right? I, I go contact that business down the street and all this
Mhm.
other stuff. And I didn't, I kind of, shame on me. I forgot about the B2B
Yeah.
component of it.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, probably you haven't. We are getting better at talking about it. We've always done it, but in evaluating last year, we were like, you know what, from a marketing standpoint, from an SEO standpoint, we're really not flexing that muscle. And that's such an incredible opportunity. And marketing is different to B2B. You can't, I always say you can't go cold calling and knocking on doors for homes, but there's a different approach in marketing, and that is unique within our industry, that organizers are out marketing to businesses. So it's such a great avenue that we've always been in, but we are putting more energy and marketing attention on.
So if a franchisee is struggling or not doing the right thing, and I'm not saying they are, let's have a hypothetical franchisee in
Mhm.
any service category,
Right,
right?
right.
So what would be some of the things that they should be aware of, or so for example, for me, I think in a home service based business, if a franchisee is struggling, I mean, aside from, let's assume the system makes sense and
Right,
it's
right.
a
They've got
viable
the
system,
foundation in place.
I think many times it's they have the wrong mindset about that initial marketing, or the what it takes to invest in that initial marketing and building those personal relationships.
1000%. It's when, when a newer franchisee is there and they're behind their computer and they're watching their analytics and their Google ad conversions and all of that. And I say, get away from the computer, get out and be mayor of your marketplace and connect with people, get into the
Mhm.
chamber, go and, your sphere of influence is so important in a home service business, especially because we are referral, repeat, word of mouth. And so, I encourage our new franchisees, your coffee budget should be ginormous that first year. You should be taking anybody and everybody out to coffee and just sharing with them this exciting news of what you're doing, because anybody could be a potential client or referral partner.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny, I'm a franchise lawyer, so one of my good friends, an accountant, he's like, "Why don't we join this or go?" I'm like, "Everyone's your potential client." I'm happy to say none of them are my potential clients, but that's a big deal. And like you said, you're not selling on siding or roofing.
Right.
Um, and I agree too. Especially with AI and changes in digital media, like you need all those things. And I know
Too.
your team supports that. But as a new as a franchise in any service category, and I've
Mhm.
seen it with one of our own companies, it could be depressing initially if you're just looking at the Google Analytics and stuff.
For
It's like,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm always like, "Nobody knows you're there.
right,
What did you expect?" And so getting that out, and then I love it when they have those wins and they have those
right.
connections and somebody introduces them to somebody, and then I love seeing them light up and see that. And so, yeah, I mean, it's probably a joke among our franchisees. If you say something, things are slow, I'll be like, "And how's your local marketing? How's your community marketing? Are you out and about?" Because I don't really want to hear it until you are exhausting every resource of that. And I promise if you're doing that, it's working. It's going to work.
Well, again, connecting the dots to your earlier point, it's much easier selling be organized and that, right, than it is, hey,
Because
you
we
need
can
to read.
storytell, we can pull on emotions and really do some big stuff. You give us 6 hours in your home, and we can have you crying out of joy. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I have OCD, so like to me, things out of place is like mental trauma. So like, the people that don't have the OCD, they don't realize they're getting this mental trauma every day.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Turning things on the shelf just a little.
Yeah, no, it's bad. I have to stop myself from making comments like, because I will
Mhm.
sound psychotic. Um, Kristen, for franchisors that may be listening to this and anyone really, I feel like definitely there's a shift in our society, digital, AI, all these things. And I do believe the brands that are going to win are the ones that build tribes and have purpose and mission. What's your advice for, say, a business owner thinking about franchising out there, or a franchisor that's struggling and trying to look behind the scenes and say, well, how is Be Organized doing this? And again, what would be some general advice you have for them?
Can I say call Charles
No,
Internicola?
no, you can't say that. I appreciate
He didn't
it.
even pay me to say that. Um, I would say, going back to kind of the top of the call here, is be really sure on what your mission is. Know your mission and know what your offerings are and your opportunity is for future owners. And then craft everything around that. And don't forget that. I think that's an important, obviously. And then bringing in the right partners, though. I tease, call Charles, but I mean, it's bringing in the right partners and knowing that, I got into this because, yeah, I love organizing. And yeah, somehow we struck a nerve and we've done, we've done this, but I don't have all the abilities. All my partners don't. And so, um, sharing the burden and the joy of building this thing, we couldn't and wouldn't be where we are today without leaning on each other from an internal, having the right people, but then having partners. That would be definitely one. And having a tough skin.
Yeah, no, well, yeah, having a tough skin. I forget who I was listening to on, a founder of something. And I mean, he was being a little dramatic, but at the moment I was a little agitated. I'm like, he's like, and be ready as an entrepreneur for people to try to destroy everything you're building. I'm like, it's a little bad that I'm actually saying yes to this at the moment, but then you get past it. But
Well, you got to be, well, I think you just have to be tough and be so driven in that mission that you're not going to be, you can't get thrown off of it. And because there is not necessarily people wanting to, ruin you or tear you down, but it's hard, and you're going to hit challenges and difficult people, and talk about the money, holy cow. And so you've got to really, really want it. And you've got to be very laser focused on what your direction is, and again, what that mission is, and let that drive you and save you and protect you.
Kristen, as we wrap up, what does a positive moment for you look like when you think about a franchisee or a specific situation? Maybe there's a challenge and then not. And like, what does some of those moments look like for you?
I tell you, my best time spent, the best way I can spend my time is connecting with our franchisees. I spend a lot of time on Zoom, a lot of time on the phone, and hearing them overcome a challenge, or, win a big estimate, or, have some win or prove themselves wrong, right? That they were doubting themselves. There is nothing better than seeing that person grow and become confident and loving what they're doing, and putting in the hard work and seeing the fruits of their labor. That is, I love that. I love that. And I also love meeting them kind of in the dirt too, and helping them brainstorm and thinking through it, and reminding them. That's one thing too. I think franchisees, as a franchisor, sometimes we get frustrated. It's like, oh my gosh, we've got all this, and this, and this. Well, they are running Mach 80. And it's our job to remind them of these tools or strategies or these ideas, or, well, remember we taught this, or we talked about this, and pulling it out. That's our job, is to continually providing those tools and sometimes they just need us to put them in their hands. And so I love that. I love meeting them kind of in the dirt and building them up, and putting the tools in their hands and seeing them go.
Yeah, it sounds, it's so critical. Even as a business owner myself, I have a business coach, we meet weekly, our leadership team meets with our business coach, where, and sometimes you think it's expensive. And then when you really think about it, you're like,
best money.
Yeah. So it's a game changer. So Kristen, this is our episode 3, I believe.
3, yes.
Yeah. 4 is going to be amazingly exciting.
Oh, incredible, I'm sure.
Kristen, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Charles. Appreciate it.